Motor's coming out today. Welcome back to First Time Restoration.
Tearing these pictures of you off my walls. What have you done? The girl I love does not exist, and in her place, why find you? How are you now?
All right, welcome back. Episode 3. In this episode, we are going to start taking out the motor. This came in the mail today. This is the climber's manual. If you're going to do one of these restoration projects, or you're going to try to do some type of build like I'm doing here, this is one of the guides you need to have. Now, I've actually ordered this one and the Haynes manual. So what that means is that I have a couple different reference points. I've watched a couple of other. There's a great channel out there called Hack a Week TV, where the guy is doing a CB750 restoration from the ground up, and he has all 3 manuals. There's this one, the Haynes one, and the service manual, and there's some discrepancies here and there. In fact, I believe there's a significant discrepancy if you get on if you get online. You'll actually notice that there's a issue with the jets for the carburetor that in this manual is actually wrong. It's actually backwards. So you want to make sure you have a couple of these. In fact, I think I read that it's wrong in all the manuals. So you definitely want to have at least 2, if not the service manual as well, just so you have some cross references. Some will have information on how to do it, and other ones will have some of the breakdowns and the specs. But for the most part, you want to have this. Now, I've already started to look at this, and just to give you guys some clues, this is not the most straightforward manual. For instance, if you want to take the motor out, the instructions actually tell you to go to a totally different section to take the radiator out and then come back. So it's a little bit of a choose your own adventure. So make sure you read this and you kind of spec out exactly what you need to do beforehand, because you might find yourself jumping back and forth between chapters just to get what you need to get done for your project. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the project here. Now, if you look here in the manual, we're going to start taking out the engine removal here. But the interesting thing is here, as I said before, it says step 3, drain coolant, and step 4, remove radiator as described in chapter 8. So here it says drain coolant as described in chapter 3, but remove the radiator as described in chapter 8, which means that you got to jump from chapter 4 all the way to chapter 8 here on how to remove the radiator first. So that's the first thing we're going to do here, is we're going to actually set up and we're going to start to remove the radiator. And we're going to just pretty much follow this right from the top here. So we're going to just follow every step that it has here, telling us how to remove the fan, how to remove the thermostat, how to remove the, all these things. And then once we're done removing everything from the housing here, we're going to remove the water pump next. And once we have all this out, then we're going to come back and we're going to go to chapter 4 and pull this all out again. So again, this just as a reminder, make sure that you read all the instructions and kind of familiarize yourself with what you need to do. So okay, so as you can see in a previous clip, we took out the front here. This is actually really easy to do, and you just kind of undo these bolts and the whole thing fell right out. So we got that taken care of. Now, the next thing we got to do here is we're going to go ahead and remove the radiator and the cooling system. So again, got my manual here, and we're going to start by taking out the shroud and kind of working our way down. So I'm going to move the old wiring harness out of the way, and we are going to start pulling this thing apart. So the first thing that we need to do here is we need to remove the top acorn bolts and the bottom acorn bolts, and this whole radiator will pop out. Actually, in the cooling system, we'll inspect this before we put it back on the bike. It looks okay. I don't see any real bad fin damage in here, anything like that. But we're definitely going to check this out once we get it off the bike, and definitely before we put it back on the bike. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so the coolant's out. And we're going to go ahead and remove these. I believe they're 10 mil bolts. They are. I'm going to go ahead and remove the top 2 and the bottom 2 down here. my magnetic tray. These are really handy to have, so you can kind of just throw your bolts in and you won't lose them. Okay, so yeah, in this manual here, it does not say, but I don't know if you can see this or not, but there is the dipstick tube here is blocking my ability to do that. So not the manual, but I gotta take this dipstick tube plug out.
I'm not asking, 'cause I'm not.
I don't know if you can see this or not, but I just pulled the drain tube out and water is pouring out of the engine block. Now it's clear, so it doesn't look rusty, but that is not a good sign.
I'm trying. Oh, thought of hearing you speak makes me nauseous. Please, God, kill me. This could be no ordinary love. As much as I can stand to need you. Can't admit I was wrong. Blame me.
So the radiator is out. The oil is still leaking out the bottom here, but we are definitely on our way to winning something here.
I never needed a reason.
Okay, so now that we've got the timing cover off, you can clearly see it now. It's pretty easy, and with this radiator, I can actually probably pull the rest of this monstrosity. Complete disaster of a wiring harness. Sure, it was wonderful in 1978, but you know, we've done a lot of things since then. You know, MTV, Tang. Okay, I'm gonna get my breaker bar on this bolt here and see if I can't give it a few nudges. Get a little spin to win on here. Oh, don't look at that, man. Uh-oh. I believe I have got some momentum here. Yeah, there's definitely some rust built up in there at the top. Feels like there's some rust built in right at the top of the cylinder. Now that is a promising. Okay, guys. So right before I pumped some PB Blaster, I knew I'd broken it free. I wanted to see what it looked like. So I hooked up a battery, grounded it real quick, got the starter here, and just give it a little tap here. So show you what happened. We got life. So I am definitely that makes me really happy. That makes me really happy, because now this motor is completely free spinning. And I think we can actually fix it now because I can get this thing to turn over. That is a huge, huge, huge relief.
But you gave me for plenty. I'm not that good with excuses, and yet somehow I have so many. The thought of you right near me makes me nauseous.
These two wires here that plugged into the original wiring harness, one goes to the fan switch and one goes to the oil pressure gauge. So when I go to rewire this bike back, I need to make sure that this one goes into a temperature gauge and a temperature switch here so it kicks the fan on. And then I need to make sure this one goes to the oil pressure sensing unit. Always good to have this close by. Maybe make photocopies if you don't want to get it dirty. I'm not too worried about that. I'll probably get this thing pretty messy by the time it's all said and done. I mean, I'm not going to like on purpose try to destroy this, but I'm going to definitely use this.
Please, God, hear me.
So there's a circuit clip right here that connects it. It looks like here on this that the holes have kind of slidden in between the joint. I don't know if you can see that here. We'll get right here. Let me get it a little closer to you. I'm not going to be able to get the camera closer this second, but there's a little clip in there, and I'll put a picture in the description. But that's what you need to take out in order to get this drive shaft disconnected. So this is the main output shaft. This goes right to the back wheel, and we need to disconnect the output shaft from here to the output shaft here. Push this up out of the way so we can get this motor free. This is kind of the last piece that's really holding on the bike besides the mounting bolts. Okay, so finally, somehow, I magically got the clip to fall out. I'm not 100% sure how it came out, but I got it out. So once the clip came out, I just pushed the drive shaft back. So now the engine is completely disconnected from the frame as far as from the drive shaft perspective. So all I really need to do is start loosening the bolts. There's a couple here on the subframe. This frame is actually divided. This lower cross member here is actually bolted into the frame. It's not actually a part of it. And then on the other side, there's a couple of bolts that hold this motor in. So once I get these bolts out and get the other side and get the motor mounts out, this motor actually will be completely free and I can remove it and disassemble it from the frame. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so to remove the engine here, I've gotten almost all the subframe bolts out. There's one here, there's one here, there's one down here, there's one actually on the other side, and then there's one right down here. It's a little hard to see, but it's right underneath the starter. And I'm going to back this nut off. It's right back here. So I'm going to start by taking that out. Okay, so finally was able to pull the subframe mount out. It was a little corroded and rusted down there around the foot peg, and the foot peg, there's a foot peg spacer, and that foot peg spacer was actually rusted solid into the foot peg bolt that the
subframe cross member actually seated into. So I had to kind of give it some old persuasion, a little WD-40. But once I got that, the subframe came off, and now as you can see, the frame's going to pretty much just slide off the back here, and the motor will be completely free. So let's finish that up. All right, motor's out. So on the next episode, we're going to get this motor on the bench. We're going to start breaking it down. Still have a few things left to do on the frame, but I want to start kind of tearing down this motor and getting into it, so I know what parts I need to order. And that's about it. Update. The other day I was on Craigslist and I found a guy that had a 1976 Honda GL1000 with all the parts that I needed. Completely pristine side covers, pristine top tank, pristine side fenders, wheels, everything perfect. Perfect. Now you may ask, well, why wouldn't I just abandon this guy and go ahead and do the 76 model? And the fact is that I started this project and I want to finish this project. I got the bike for $400. I don't want to put the time and the effort to try to get it up and running because I really just want the parts off of it, and I'm still going to need to get the parts that I want for this bike anyway. So I just want to continue with the project, and that's something you guys really got to be mindful of when you want to get into one of these projects. Is it's really, really easy to look and keep looking and find bikes and pick up bikes. In fact, I now have a garage full of them because I found a couple good deals for future projects that we're going to do on this channel. But I really am focused on rebuilding this 78 Goldwing the way that I really want to build it. So I'm not going to abandon Lucille just for somebody else. So we're really going to continue to work on this project, continue to break it down. So on the next episode, we're actually going to get this motor on the bench and we're going to start tearing it down and breaking it apart. So I'll check in next week on First Time Restorations. Thanks.